Good evening, I'm Zinklea Asamoah, coming to you from NBC News World Headquarters in New York City. Great to have you back with us. Here are some of the stories we're following on Now Tonight. Arctic blast, millions of people preparing for blizzard-like conditions, which will make traveling for the holidays the most woeful time of the year. Title 42 in limbo. The fate of the controversial migrant policy is still up in the air. So what will the asylum process look like if Title 42 does end?
She's been traveling with her baby for 3 months. ¿Qué ha sido lo más difícil esos 3 meses? She said crossing Mexico was the most difficult thing.
Drug shortage fever. A short supply of children's over-the-counter medicine hits stores. And just as sniffle season is in full effect, what parents need to know. And the pharmaceutical maverick one-on-one with Mark Cuban on his new online pharmacy company.
We're lean, mean, medication-selling machine.
We begin Now Tonight with a nasty winter storm, which has tens of millions of Americans under winter alerts this evening, all the way from Washington state to my home state of Maryland. It's all part of a bitter blast of Arctic air coming in from Canada. And depending on where you are, you could see blizzard conditions and even life-threatening cold, according to the National Weather Service out of Denver. Temperatures in the Dakotas and Montana are expected to drop anywhere between 20 and 30 degrees below zero. And with wind chills, we're talking about as low as minus 40 to minus 55 degrees. No, thank you. Even parts of the Sunshine State, Florida, could see low temperatures falling into the 20s by the end of the week. And it's all coming at a time when more than 110 million Americans are expected to travel for the holidays, according to AAA, both by car and by plane. So let's bring in NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa from Chicago. Maggie, I'm glad you're inside. So let's start with travel. Most flyers hear bad weather and naturally think, oh my goodness, my flight is gonna get delayed. And actually, right now, if viewers go to the United Airlines website, you will notice the airline is issuing travel waivers for passengers, so nixing change fees for flyers who might need to change their travel due to bad weather and more. Talk to me about what's going on. What are you seeing in terms of travel?
Yeah, I mean, we'll look at it this way. Like, you heard the forecast, you read the forecast, and you said no thank you. I mean, the airlines are basically saying the same thing, right? Like, we saw over the summer without inclement winter weather how delays and cancellations can stack up. And now we're adding in this huge winter storm. So it's not just United, also American, Southwest, and JetBlue waiving change fees, telling people, hey, if you're traveling, especially out of Midwest airports during the worst of this storm, likely Thursday, Friday, maybe into Saturday, and you would like to change your flight, that would help us out quite a bit, because the last thing these airlines want are people showing up here and having to sit on the floor or even in a cot, which the airports have in a back room, by the way, ready to bring out in case this happens, waiting for a flight that's delayed or canceled. They want to keep things running smoothly, so to avoid those delays and cancellations, they're letting people move their flights, again, free of charge.
And Maggie, I know that waiver you're talking about applies to passengers traveling to and from 150 airports, which is just wild. And it's not just flights, right? AAA estimates that some 7 million people are expected to fly, but nearly 100 million will be driving to their destinations. Considering the inclement weather, are officials warning against being on the road right now?
They are warning against being on the road depending where you are and depending when you want to leave, which we know is not really a satisfying answer. But they're basically asking people to be aware, spread the word, talk to your loved ones about the fact that this storm is coming, and just check the forecast on your entire route. Check it on the route up to your destination, at your destination, and this is important, coming back from your destination, because the ripple effects of this storm, again, could last into early next week. So if you're planning on driving back, say maybe Sunday, even into Monday, roads still could be messy. So they just want people to kind of be aware of that and adjust if they can.
That's an important warning. And let's end with the conditions where you are right now, Chicago. How cold is it, and what are the next few days expected to look like? How is the city preparing?
Zinklea, I'm not going to lie to you, it hurts me. It hurts me how cold it is, and it's only going to get colder, frankly. It's dipping into the single digits, and wind chill could very well be below zero. So that's a big part of this. The wind, also a big part of this. We've seen actually Amtrak is now canceling some routes through the Midwest, and that's a big deal when trains can't even run because of the winds that we're seeing. So the city of Chicago, actually, local transportation authorities came out to O'Hare today, and they said specific to O'Hare and Midway, they have 500 employees ready to scrape snow and ice off of the runways and off of the planes. They've also got to get cots in the back room in case there are travel disruptions here. And again, they're just putting out local warnings, talking to media as much as possible, making sure everyone here in the Midwest and even the Chicago area, which is, you know, a hardy bunch. They've been through cold winters before. They just want to make sure everyone is aware heading into the holidays. And Clay.
Oh, so many considerations. Thank you for keeping us aware, Maggie. Stay warm, stay safe. Now, let's get technical with NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns. Good evening, Bill.
Clay, this storm is one of the worst that we've ever seen right before Christmas. I mean, you have to go back almost 40, 50 years before we had a big, huge snowstorm and a big winter weather event like 2 days before the Christmas holiday. So let's get into it. And we already have our first blizzard warnings that have been issued. That's in areas of southern Minnesota. Winter storm warnings, Des Moines, Minneapolis, and these will spread. So you can see the storm's going from the Pacific Northwest now, and then by the time we get to Saturday, heading out of the Northeast. So we have a long ways to go. And all of the beginning of this week, the first 2 days, we had zero impacts as far as travel from weather. Now we start the impacts, especially as we go through Wednesday afternoon with light snow heading through the northern plains. Then by the time we get through Thursday morning, snow breaks out around areas like Kansas City, a couple inches possible. St. Louis, you're going to have snow for your rush hour Thursday evening. Snow moves into Chicago during the day on Thursday. It gets a lot worse as far as accumulating snows and the winds Thursday night into Friday morning. And we could even see areas going from rain to snow as far south, a brief period of it at least. Memphis, Nashville is possible, all through Kentucky. You have a chance for at least a coating to make things really slippery as that Arctic air moves in. Friday morning is the peak of the storm. This is when it will become what we call a bomb cyclone. And what that means, it rapidly intensifies. We get these storms. Sometimes they happen with nor'easters off the East Coast. It's kind of rare for the Great Lakes to have them. Not unheard of, but rare. And that means we're going to get really impressive winds. Winds that'll be strong enough for power outages and knocking down trees. Even trees that don't have leaves on them anymore will come down. We will see gusts up to 70 miles per hour. So power outages and then an Arctic outbreak right before Christmas. That's a nightmare scenario, not just for the people that it happens to, but how about the line crews that have to go out there and fix it during the Christmas weekend? So 6 p.m. Friday, heavy rain and winds are exiting the Northeast. Watch out for a flash freeze. It's going to be very windy from D.C. to Baltimore, Philly to New York Friday morning. And then the flash freeze will happen during the day as all the cold air moves in. Still drifting and blowing of snow in Michigan from Detroit to Chicago. And watch out, heavy lake effect off of Lake Erie near Buffalo, areas around Cleveland. You do not want to be driving there on Interstate 90. And then the snow forecast. This storm isn't really about the snow. Yes, there will be areas that'll get 6 to 12 inches, maybe a little higher coming off the lakes, but it's more about how strong the winds will be, where it blows the snow around, and the power outages, and then the Arctic blast behind it. So anywhere that has the blizzard conditions, mostly we're talking from Minneapolis, Wisconsin, northern Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, and western New York. And as far as the wind chills go, it's already negative 31 in Bismarck. This is what is now going to be sent southwards, plunging through the country. About 70 million people under wind chill watches and warnings all the way down to South Texas and all the way now into areas of central Georgia. Here's the forecast for Friday morning. Wind chill, -2 in Dallas, -27 Kansas City. You're going to be in the snow at -34 in Chicago, so you're not going outside in that. Just let it sit. Go and fix it and clean up as you go throughout your weekend. Then on Saturday, still bitterly cold with hundreds of thousands of people likely without power. -21, -18 Pittsburgh, and even central Florida's in Clay. We'll get down there below freezing as we go through Christmas Eve. What a storm and an event this is going to be over the next couple days.
Ooh, a cold holiday season. NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns, thank you. And in California, at least 2 people are dead and 11 are hurt after a powerful 6.4 magnitude earthquake rocked parts of the northern part of the state today. It happened in Humboldt County, just offshore of the small town of Ferndale. It struck just after 2:30 this morning local time, and so far over 50 aftershocks have been reported. Officials warn there could be more on the way.
There is approximately a 13% chance within the next week of a magnitude 5 or larger. So, people do need to be prepared, especially if they're in weakened structures, to be mindful of where they're staying.
NBC's Steve Patterson is in California with the latest. Hey, Steve.
Yeah, Zelenskyy, a 6.4 is a serious earthquake. And it's also, you can determine the intensity by the length of time, right? So a lot of people were reporting about 15 to 20 seconds for the duration of the shaking of that earthquake. It seems like a little, it is a lot. I can tell you with experience, if you've been in one of those, especially anything over a 6.0. So extensive damage to the area, to a large swath of this county. This is Humboldt County, about 200 miles north of the San Francisco area, just off the coast there. At about 2:30 this morning. So, you know, the damage is widespread. The cracks in the ground, obviously some structural integrity issues with one of the bridges, Fern Bridge, a major thoroughfare into that area, and of course people getting out of that area. Engineers looking at that right now, but storefronts, homes, businesses, not only with items that are inside of these places, but the structure itself, in a lot of cases, damaged. A lot of these roads damaged. Gas leaks have been widespread as well. Crews trying to clean that up as well to make that safe as they're trying to turn the power back on in so many of these places. 71,000 customers still without power. It's been that way for hours. It's expected to be that way for hours. They're doing all they can to restore the power. There's also running water, even in some places. Rio Dell, one of the hardest hit cities in this area, took extensive damage. They don't expect the running water to be back for another 14, 24, 48 hours, depending on when they can get crews in to do that. And all of this is made more complicated by the fact that the earthquakes haven't stopped. There are still significant aftershocks. There have been about 50 at least in that area, and there may be several more. One was even a 4.6, which is significant, could cause its own damage. And this may progress throughout the week, where there is a high chance that this will continue on. So crews doing all they can to restore as much as they can to make everything safe, but they're still dealing with those aftershocks. Still a dangerous situation there. Sinclair?
Definitely a situation we're watching closely. Steve Patterson, thank you. And the words, let it end. That's what the Biden administration has asked the Supreme Court to do when it comes to Title 42. But the administration also asked the court to delay things until after Christmas. You'll remember Title 42 is the Trump-era public health policy that allowed the government to deny asylum at the southern border during the early stages of the pandemic. Tonight, in a brief to the Supreme Court, the Biden administration acknowledged that ending the policy will, quote, likely lead to disruption and a temporary increase in unlawful border crossings. But it explained that it has outlived its public health justification. Title 42 was originally set to expire tomorrow, but for the moment, its future appears to still be in limbo. To talk about this, NBC News Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley joins us from El Paso, Texas. Julia, it's good to see you. So just first of all, walk us through the response here from the federal government.
That's right, Sinclair. So we just saw tonight in a filing the Justice Department saying that, look, the Centers for Disease Control said in April that Title 42 was no longer necessary to curb COVID-19. And they are trying to say that they're not taking a stance on this politically, but simply if CDC had the authority to put it in place at the beginning of the pandemic, they also had the authority to lift it. And so therefore, it should be lifted to be consistent with the CDC's authority. But as you pointed out, they do say and they do expect more migrants to be coming to the border. Here in El Paso, many migrants were already hearing that message and started to come just in the weeks lifting. We have heard that migration has started to slow down somewhat, about 40% in El Paso. We just learned that tonight. But as you can see, they are still full. Shelters not able to take everyone. This is a shelter right here that just opened up, allowed in a little over 100 people, and now others are facing sleeping on the streets.
I mean, there's so much activity behind you, Julia. What has the reaction been on the border? What are you hearing right now where you are?
Well, we're talking to a lot of migrants who, first of all, just say they're very cold. I mean, the temperatures here are dipping into the low 30s overnight. There are a lot of children. I spoke to a woman today who was with a 2-year-old who had lost her shoes, and they couldn't find shoes small enough for her feet. There's simply not enough to go around of everything, and that's unusual. What typically happens when people cross the border, if they're claiming asylum, they will turn themselves into Border Patrol. They're processed, released, and then taken to a local shelter before they can make transportation arrangements to go to a city where they'll wait for their immigration court hearing. In this case, though, there's a break in that system because there's not enough space at Border Patrol or at shelters. So a lot of people are being released onto the streets without plans or places to go or enough to eat.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't want us to lose that anecdote you shared, right? A sobering reality. Some people don't have basic things like shoes for their kids. And Julie, I want to ask you, too, for migrants who are crossing right now, I'm mindful, as you said, we're in the thick of winter. Forecasted lows in El Paso will be below freezing later this week. So how is the city preparing to keep everyone warm?
Well, simply they probably won't be able to keep everyone warm, and they're asking for more help from the federal government. I just asked the deputy city manager about that today, Zelenskyy. Here's what he had to say.
The shelters are already full. We're having cold weather right now. We have the normal migrants that are passing through on a daily basis, and so the shelter capacity is critical.
Are you overwhelmed?
You know what? At this time, it's preparing for what's coming.
And what they're preparing for is, of course, the eventual lifting of Title 42. Right now, there's a stay by the Supreme Court, but it's anybody's guess when that stay could lift. It could be tonight. It could be sometime over the holidays. It could be weeks or months from now. That's a really indefinite, and it makes it hard for the city to plan and probably for the federal government to respond as well.
Absolutely. Well, we know you'll stay on it. Thank you for reporting on this for us. Julia Ainsley in El Paso. Now to some breaking news. Officials in Washington are preparing for a possible visit from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy tomorrow. That's according to 5 sources familiar with the planning. Those sources tell NBC News that the plans are contingent on security and could change. Zelenskyy would be addressing a joint session of Congress. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi sent a Dear Colleague letter earlier today suggesting members attend Wednesday's session in person. She wrote, quote, "Please be present for a very special focus on democracy Wednesday night." However, Pelosi did not confirm the trip when asked for comment by NBC News. And coming up next, major pharmacies putting limits on how much medicine parents can buy over the counter. We'll talk to Dr. Kavita Patel about how to keep kids safe from seasonal viruses. Welcome back. I'm Zelenskyy Samoa. Major pharmacies are now limiting how many children's pain relief medicines can be bought at once. We're talking about drugs like children's Tylenol and Motrin. And remember the tripledemic? Well, this new policy comes while the U.S. is fighting off a surge of respiratory illnesses. Walgreens says it will be limiting customers to 6 over-the-counter pediatric fever reducers at one time. And CVS will cap customers at 2 pediatric pain relief products. These new policies apply to online and in-store purchases. As of right now, Walmart says it will not limit medication purchases. Now, even though peak flu season just began, we've already surpassed last year's numbers. The CDC estimating roughly 15 million flu illnesses so far this year. 15 million. Now, let's compare that to last year, where there were 9 million illnesses all last season. A big jump. The agency also estimating 150,000 hospitalizations and over 9,000 deaths so far. 30 of those are confirmed pediatric deaths. And if you take a look at vaccinations, the CDC found that roughly 58% of kids have yet to receive their flu shot this year. Needless to say, health experts are concerned. So let's talk to one of our own. Joining us now is NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel, who I finally got to meet in person yesterday, so I'm glad we can talk to you again. So, Dr. Patel, this over-the-counter medicine cap is specifically for medications for young people, right? Specifically pain relief for children. So why is this tripledemic hitting kids so hard this year?
Yeah, Zelenskyy, it's really an interesting phenomenon. It's all happening at the same time. And to be honest, it's not just the viruses. Usually what's happening is we're seeing kids coming in with one of these 3 viruses, and then it's a protracted illness that can last weeks, and sometimes with a bacterial infection like a pneumonia after the virus. So these are kids that are sick, even very healthy children at baseline, for weeks at a time, which is prompting parents to want to go out and buy these medications. I went to 3 pharmacies today. All of them bare shelves for pediatric medications. It's really dire out there.
Absolutely. And that's an important point, because even with the shortages and new policies, the reality is kids will still get sick. So if kids' medications are not available and parents are in need of them for their kids, can a different dose of adult medication be a substitute? What do you recommend there?
No, that's a hard no. And here's why. Simple rule of thumb. Kids are not just little adults, and children's medications are really formulated for their weight and to acknowledge that their metabolism is different. So here's what I've been telling my own patients who are looking for medication. Number 1, many of our doctor's offices, mine included, will have some samples. So number one, check around, check with local pharmacies, because the one by your house might not have them, but about 5 or 6 miles away, inconvenient as it is, might carry it. Number two, check in with your healthcare provider. We do have some samples. We are trying to get them to people, especially as they're coming in and getting diagnosed. And then number three, remember that even if you have nothing at hand, simple things like humidifiers can make a huge difference, Zinkley, or even turning on the shower, getting that mist to let the cough and that congestion get out, that can help quite a bit. Warm saline water and some of those nasal kind of bulbs to like suck out some of that nasal congestion, that can help too. And in some cases, honey, if you make sure that it's a qualified honey that you buy from a store and you know the source, that can help with cough also. So there are some over-the-counter kind of home remedies as well.
Yeah, really helpful tips, and I appreciate that you said kids are not little adults. Their entire systems are built differently. We need to keep that in mind. Now let's talk about the flu and look at some of the latest numbers from the CDC. In the first full week of December, there were over 23,000 hospitalizations. Nearly 7% of doctors' visits were because of respiratory issues, and there were 9 pediatric deaths in just that 1 week. So is the tripledemic peak even in sight? Where are we?
We hope so. We are seeing some promising numbers around the country where flu visits, even though they're super high, they seem like they may be plateauing. I say may just because we are coming up on a travel season where people are going to all be going around the country. That could be another spike in flu and RSV and COVID cases. But it is hopeful that this flu season, just like other seasons, will only last several months. But we're in the thick of it, and we still have weeks to go. And along with that, unfortunately, means hospitalizations and deaths.
Absolutely. So people need to do a lot of prevention. Dr. Kavita Patel, right. Thank you so much. And there is growing evidence of a new wave of coronavirus in Beijing. Long lines seen at crematoriums cast doubt on the country's official declared death toll of just 8 people in the past 7 months. Sky News Asia correspondent Helen Ann Smith reports on what has happened since the country dropped the zero COVID policy.
Even first thing in the morning, the crematoriums were burning. This one in East Beijing is reportedly just for COVID-related deaths, and it was busy. Ambulances arriving, cars carrying coffins lined up to go in. At another site across the city, families gathered to mourn and remember. White is traditionally worn at Chinese funerals. A massive COVID wave is sweeping this city, but officially, almost no one has died. But while numbers can be obscured, grieving relatives cannot. This party didn't want to be identified, but they did want to talk. They know COVID is killing people. It's the reason they're here.
我不太相信政府的这个报道。I don't believe. 73，也是他没有什么太多的基础病。就刚开始他可能没有认为这么严重，所以他没有去医院。等到 后来他就失去意识了，然后再送到医院，当天就去世了。就是我们也没想到会这么容易就死人的。
Round the corner, more evidence of pressure on this system. A long queue of vans acting as hearses. Tension in the air too. Some workers said they've been waiting here for more than 3 hours.
Drivers we've spoken to in this queue say that things are much busier than normal. It's impossible to say how many people are dying, but it seems it's more than normal. Hello. I'm sorry.
It didn't take long for authorities to intervene. As we walked away, one man tried to grab our camera. Such is the sensitivity of what's happening here. And it was similar at nearly every site we visited. A heavy police presence or a heavy effort to obstruct. But there's clearly real pressure on this system. China's hospitals are under-resourced and there are not enough intensive care beds. At this fever hospital, we saw what appeared to be a body, wheeled out, covered only in a quilt. We can't know for sure what happened, but it didn't bode well for what's going on inside. The zero COVID policy was dropped so abruptly here, many say China was simply not prepared. Beijing may well cope better than smaller, rural towns. It just isn't clear how bad things are. It is clear they'll likely get worse. Helen Ann Smith, Sky News in Beijing.
Thanks for that important report. And still ahead, more headlines we're watching on Now Tonight, including a German court convicting a 97-year-old woman who was a Nazi secretary. Plus, if and when we might see former President Trump's tax returns. And the latest legal whiplash surrounding FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried. Time now for some of the headlines we're watching on Now Tonight. Payday. Wells Fargo has been ordered to pay nearly $4 billion, a record-breaking fine for consumer finance violations going back a decade, including failing to properly record customer payments on home and auto loans and repossessing some borrowers' cars and homes when they did not need to. Seeking shelter, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass will launch a city program to move unhoused people indoors.
This is not coercing people. This is not ticketing people or incarcerating people. Now, it's not going to address everybody, but it is going to address, hopefully, a significant number.
Mayor Bass says it's all part of a promise she made to bring urgency to the city's homelessness crisis. Dubbed the Secretary of Evil, a German court has convicted a 97-year-old woman of contributing to the murder of more than 10,000 people. The woman worked as a secretary at a Nazi concentration camp. Today, she was handed a 2-year suspended sentence for her role in a trial that could be the last of its kind. Central Park 5. Today, New York dedicated an entrance to the park in honor of the Central Park 5. Almost 20 years to the day since the 5 Black and Latinx men had their convictions thrown out for being wrongfully convicted of raping a woman in the park. Officials named the entrance to the park the Gate of the Exonerated and say it's meant to recognize others who may have been wrongly imprisoned. And cha-ching! Today, the Bank of England unveiled its first banknotes featuring King Charles III. The 5, 10, 20, and 50-pound banknotes feature a portrait of Charles. They will gradually replace the banknotes featuring his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, in 2024. Now let's talk cryptocurrency. FTX co-founder Sam Bankman-Fried will be extradited to the United States tomorrow, according to the Bahamas Department of Corrections. He will face fraud charges related to the collapse of his cryptocurrency exchange. Sam Bankman-Fried was arrested last week in the Bahamas on 8 criminal counts, including wire fraud and money laundering. At the time, he came out and said that he would challenge extradition, but has since changed his mind. It's a decision that played out in a chaotic scene in court yesterday, and it's a scene that NBC News technology correspondent Jake Ward will break down for us right now. Jake, good to see you. A lot has happened in the last 24 hours and actually within the last hour or so. So can you get us up to speed?
That's right, Zinkley. We are looking at essentially breaking news right now. We had, for the last 24 hours, known only that Sam Bankman-Fried showed up in court yesterday looking a mess. He was visibly shaking, and his lawyers and lawyers on the prosecution side seemed to both be very surprised that, A, he was there, and B, he asked to see federal charging documents. It suggested that perhaps he was going to fight extradition. Now, as you know, the Bahamas has a long-standing extradition treaty with the United States, but if he were to choose to fight it, it could drag this out for months, maybe years. Suddenly, the news is that as of tomorrow, a hearing may very well pave the way for him to be transported to the U.S. really within the next 24 to 48 hours. So he really is on a fast track to facing the music here in this country, Zinkley.
I mean, so given that, what will happen once he arrives in the U.S.?
Well, this is the thing. I mean, this guy is facing a really dizzying array of charges. The 8 federal counts against him are big, bad charges, any one of which could put him in jail for a long time, possibly for the rest of his life. And that's not even to mention the Securities and Exchange Commission, which has hit him with huge civil charges. So this guy is just facing an extraordinary amount of punishment. One of the ways to think about it, as somebody was just saying this to me the other day, a lawyer who's actually suing him currently as one of many, many people suing him, basically said when he goes to jail, he'll be in jail so long that technology will essentially have moved on without him, and the skills that he had that made all of this possible will be basically obsolete. You know, that's the very least of the kind of punishment he could be facing. He could actually spend the rest of his life in prison. Somewhere between those two things is where his fate lies.
Oh, and wow, Jake, that's an incredibly sobering potential reality for him. And I also know that this is not just about crypto, right, but also impacting individuals in Washington, because the super PAC, the pro-Democratic Senate majority, plans to actually return $3 million in donations from former FTX heads, including Sam Bankman-Fried, who reportedly actually donated millions to PACs aligned with the Democratic Party. And yes, that does include some that funded President Biden's campaign. So, Jake, do we know if any other PACs will return contributions as well, really showing sort of the wide scope of this whole issue?
Yeah, I mean, it just goes on and on. The ripples are endless. And you can imagine, right, the sort of nightmare meetings that were going on inside the staff offices of all sorts of political figures across the Democratic Party, right, as they suddenly realized, holy cow, we took money from this guy who has now taken, turns out to be the mastermind of what the new CEO has called, a plain and simple embezzlement case. So then you think to yourself, okay, if I'm a political head, what am I going to do? If I'm the chief of staff, what do we do to wash our hands of this? Oh, I know. We'll give it to charity. That's what a handful of people have gone on and done, thinking that that was the end of the matter. Nope. Turns out FTX, in a statement released yesterday, is going to go after even the charities that they gave the money to in an effort to try to get money back for all of the people who lost money in the multi-billion-dollar collapse of FTX. So all of that, a nightmare. We do not know yet, of course, whether the Biden administration is going to respond. They've sort of dodged questions about this so far, and but you have to remember, this guy was the darling of the political donation circle, not to mention a darling of Wall Street and all these other things. You're just seeing person after person who is closely associated with him trying to wash their hands of this, and it's not over yet, St. Clair.
So many repercussions, not just for Bankman-Fried, but clearly for Washington as well. Jake Ward, thanks for staying on it for us. And just minutes ago, the House Ways and Means Committee has officially voted to release Donald Trump's tax returns, 6 years worth to be exact. But it could take some time before anything is available to the public. Here's what committee chairman Democrat Richard Neal said after the vote.
I want to say this, after a long process, that this was not about being punitive, it was not about being malicious, and there were no leaks from the committee. We adhered carefully to the law.
Sahil Kapoor, senior national political reporter for NBC News, joins us now. Sahil, this is a big deal. So what just happened and what happens next?
It is certainly a big deal, Zincle. It is the culmination of 3.5 years of political and legal battles over accessing former President Donald Trump's tax returns, going all the way back to when he was president. Remember, this is the first presidential candidate in 40 years since Richard Nixon not to voluntarily release his tax returns. And this vote by the Ways and Means Committee, which accessed his tax returns recently under a federal statute that enables tax writing committees to do so, is the major step necessary before making these tax returns and tax information public. So what happens next is the tax information, a report about this, which the committee has drafted up, goes to the full House of Representatives, which is akin to making it public. And then separately, the tax returns themselves, they will be combed through by a set of staffers to make sure personal identifiable information like Social Security numbers and street addresses are redacted. So we're likely, according to members of this Ways and Means Committee, see both. One of them, Congressman Brendan Boyle of Pennsylvania, tells us it'll be a few days, most likely, until the tax returns are made public because they want to make sure no personal identifying information is there once that happens. A big vote, a big deal, and it happens in the closing days of this Democratic-controlled House before Republicans take control.
Absolutely. And I mean, you said it, right? It's a lot of information. So what kind of information are lawmakers hoping to find?
A whole host of information relating to Trump's personal finances, to his businesses. You see the graphic up on the screen here. They want to get information on the total yearly income and taxes that he paid, the state of finances while he was in office, the interest or control of foreign bank accounts. The question of foreign entanglements has kind of dogged Trump every step of the way because he's gone to great lengths to hide these tax returns from the public, which has led his staunchest critics to wonder what is in them that he's so determined to conceal from the public eye. So there are questions about that. That may lead to questions of conflict of interest, a whole host of things that the tax returns are more likely to reveal in greater detail, at least, than the tax information itself. But it looks like in the coming days, maybe even coming hours, as far as the tax information is concerned, we'll start to get information. Now, this, of course, comes. It was a 24-16 vote on party lines. Every Democrat on the Ways and Means Committee voted yes, and all the Republicans voted no. The Republican complaint and warning was that Democrats are creating a new precedent where an individual's tax returns can be obtained by this committee and made public. The Democrats come back and say that's not what they were doing, that they're trying to make sure a process by the IRS in which presidential tax returns are regularly audited is not being abused or corrupted, or at least wasn't when Donald Trump was effectively overseeing that IRS. So this has been, a lengthy battle that they fought, and it seems like they're nearing the end of it now.
A lengthy battle and not without resistance. So I know this is one you'll stay on. Sahil, thank you very much. And now let's turn to that huge $1.7 trillion spending bill. It would fund the government through September of next year. Congress has until Friday to pass it. That is, if they want to avert a government shutdown just before the holidays. NBC's Ali Vitale has more. Ali.
Yeah, Zelenskyy, the Senate and the House once again up against the clock here on government funding. They bought themselves an extra week to try to get a larger omnibus deal together. They managed to get the deal. Now it's just a question of voting in time before government funding runs out on Friday. Not only are they on a time crunch, but there's also a nor'easter bearing down across the Midwest, something that's certainly motivating these lawmakers to act as quickly as possible, as if they weren't already. On the Senate side, what we're looking at is the usual Senate magic. All 100 senators can come together at any time and decide how this is going to go. Currently, the negotiations stem over what amendments, if any, they're going to include to keep certain Republican senators on board and stopping them from just gumming up the process. But look, overall here, Senate Republicans feel pretty good about what they got. I mean, listen to Mitch McConnell today.
So, admittedly, I'm pretty proud of the fact that with a Democratic president, a Democratic House, and a Democratic Senate, we were able to achieve, through this omnibus spending bill, essentially all of our priorities.
And so, Zelenskyy, as much as Senate magic could get this done as soon as possible, then the House has to come back and vote on it as well. Every expectation is that they're going to be able to meet their deadlines. Of course, the storm does complicate things, and no one is very happy to be working this close to the holiday break. But at the same time, take a look a little bit at what's in this. There is a precedent that we're probably going to hear about going forward. The fact that usually you're seeing military and then domestic priority spending be pretty much in sync, parity between those two numbers. Here, though, what we're seeing, and part of the reasons why Republicans feel so good, is because defense spending is much higher than domestic priority spending. This is something that Republicans were pushing for just because of the sheer number of legislative wins that Democrats have been able to notch this year. Republicans saying that they were able to get a lot of their domestic priorities and do a lot of that spending. They didn't want to see it done in this package. Republicans notching that win, but then also Ukraine spending in here at a time when, especially when the House control for Republicans is about to flip. We know that McCarthy and other Republicans are not very willing to continue giving those billions to Ukraine. That's going to be in here as well. All of those key pieces that round out this roughly $1.7 trillion deal right before the end of the year. Zelenskyy.
Ali Vitale, thank you so much. And one major focus of the Biden administration has been funding the fight against climate change. That's because the climate crisis is not some amorphous problem future generations will have to endure. It's happening now. And regions in East Africa know this all too well. Rains have failed for 5 years in Somalia and Kenya. Women digging 30-foot deep trenches to gather groundwater in an effort to survive in an area that was once fertile land. The drought is leading to crop failure. Oxfam, a global organization fighting inequality, calls it the worst hunger crisis in living memory. And tonight, NBC News Now will dedicate time to focus on the region. Joining us now to preview tonight's special report is NBC News Chief International Correspondent Keir Simmons. Keir, it's so good to see you, and I'm so glad we're having this conversation. My mom is actually from East Africa, so this is really important. So first of all, what did you find? What's this about?
Right. It is so important, and it's not getting enough attention. And, it is complex, too. I mean, that's one of the things we found. Decades ago in the 1980s, big stars like Madonna and Mick Jagger took part in concerts to try and raise money called Live Aid. And that was for a famine in Ethiopia. And now here we are, and a place like Somalia is on the brink of famine. So there are complex historical issues in that region, as you know well, Zelenskyy. But at the same time, climate change now is causing a drought that is causing hunger across large swathes of East Africa for millions of people. And it's not their fault. These are people who did nothing or virtually nothing to contribute towards climate change, and yet they are suffering from the consequences of it. Now, there are other factors too, like, for example, wars in the region, and even the war in Ukraine has had an impact. So it's complex, and in this special, we will really get into the detail of that and talk about what the solutions are. But some of the solutions are simple. Take a look at this, Zelenskyy. This is a peanut paste. It's out of date. I haven't taken it where it could be used. This can save children's lives, and it doesn't cost very much. And so there are simple things that aid agencies are able to do if they are well enough funded to deal with the problem now, whilst there are some smart things being thought about to try and figure out how to deal with the problem in the long term.
And Kira, I'm so glad you talked about solutions, because when we talk about the climate crisis, it can get a little depressing. What solutions did you see? I know you just shared one, and did anything really surprise you on the ground?
Right. Yeah, you know what? I mean, I'm really struck by how positive people can be in such difficult circumstances. And we met one headmistress who is a mentor to women in her girls' school. She's extraordinary. This school only just got clean water. Some of the students don't get food through the day because there isn't enough food, and yet she is leading from the front. Take a listen.
While their headmistress is an inspiration. You can show these girls that a woman can
make it.
Can make it.
Can make it in life. Even in these harsh times, with the little they have, with no food, they can still make it.
And, you know, Zelenskyy, we can't say often enough, East Africa is a collection of countries that are incredible, colourful, beautiful people, you know, there's a lot of positive stuff there, and they don't deserve what's happening in some places. We had to drive sometimes a long distance. We went to one place, I'll just tell you, where one of the women and children were climbing down into holes down into the ground, risking their lives just to get water so that they could let their animals drink, so they could eat. So there is absolute desperation, and it is not deserved.
Absolutely, it's not deserved, and I appreciate you shining a light on this. Keir Simmons, thank you so much.
You bet.
An NBC News Now special, Scorched East Africa's Climate Crisis, airs tonight at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Up next, an exclusive interview with Mark Cuban. NBC's Cynthia McFadden sat down with a billionaire to talk about his latest venture into healthcare. Welcome back. I'm Zelenskyy Asamoah, and you may know billionaire and businessman Mark Cuban from the show Shark Tank, or perhaps as the enthusiastic owner of the Dallas Mavericks. But what he wants to be remembered for is a relatively new company he created almost a year ago, Cost Plus Drug Company. The mission is to change everything about prescription drug prices in America. NBC's Cynthia McFadden sat down with Cuban for our series, Side Effects.
Because you've got to have like a real office somewhere.
No, this is it.
No, this is it.
Complete with concrete floor and thrift store worthy furniture.
That's when I was 16 in junior achievement.
And you were good.
Oh, I was great.
The windowless office may not be what you'd expect for someone estimated to be worth nearly $5 billion, but the confidence fits.
Put the money where it has an impact.
For the past year, Mark Cuban, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks and a regular on Shark Tank,
so for those reasons, I'm out,
has been trying to impact the world of prescription drugs.
And one of the first things you said about all of this, if I may quote you back to you, was that you intended to F up the pharma industry.
Yeah, I was comprehensive. I didn't use the word F or the letter F.
So how are you doing on that goal?
They still don't know we exist, but at the same time, we're impacting the lives of, million-plus people.
In just 10 months, he says, his 1.5 million online customers can choose from about 350 generic medications. Cuban is so confident it will work, he is funding the entire thing himself. How much has he spent?
More than a bag of chips.
100 million?
It's a lot, yeah.
More than that?
Yeah, it's a lot.
So, is it working? NBC News selected several drugs to compare, and prices are, as claimed, often lower than competitors, sometimes costing even less than a patient's copay. This leukemia drug retails at a pharmacy chain for more than $1,500 a month. With insurance, a typical copay is $30, but at Cost Plus, no insurance needed, $19.40.
Are there bad guys, from your perspective, morally bad guys, driving these prices up?
I'd say that they're misleading, and they try to create the perception that the patient comes first, and they don't.
He says he's able to offer lower prices by bypassing insurers and middlemen, and even plans to make some medications in his own facility. And he says transparency is key. On his bills, customers see what Cost Plus paid for the medication, along with a 15% markup, a $3 pharmacy fee, and a $5 shipping fee.
The concept is very simple. We want to be the low-cost provider of any medication we're legally able to sell. We're a lean, mean medication-selling machine.
Cuban says he's not making money yet, but says, for now, that's okay.
It's the right thing to do. I have money. And we will make money. I don't want this to seem like it's completely altruistic. You know, it will be profitable.
So to the cynical out there, this is a great way to suck people in, and then you raise the price.
No, it's a great way to suck people in, and where we can, lower the price. And hopefully they tell all their friends.
That is just what Christina Costa did. Her Instagram video now pinned to Cuban's feed.
I have epilepsy and brain cancer and anxiety.
Costa told NBC News she's never met Cuban, but that using Cost Plus drugs is saving her nearly 90% on her medications every month.
You know, this is the only company, the Mark Cuban Cost Plus Drugs company, is the only company I've ever put my name on, because this is what I want my kids to be proud of me for.
To that end, he says he will not be satisfied until he's able to lower the price of insulin and a host of other life-saving medications. Cynthia McFadden, NBC News, Dallas.
Really fascinating reporting. Thank you, Cynthia. And before we go, a homecoming decades in the making. Argentina's national football team bringing home a third World Cup. We'll show you more of the celebration after this. It was a hero's welcome in Buenos Aires for the Argentinian national team today. The entire nation took the day off to celebrate the World Cup winners. Crowds began gathering hours before the official party, which took place at the Obelisco. That's an iconic landmark in the city center. The team rode on top of an open-air bus through millions of fans. Organizers eventually had to airlift players out of the crowd because the bus could not move. Team captain and national hero Lionel Messi can now call himself a world champion and creator of the most liked Instagram post in histories. He's got all the double taps. Shortly after Argentina's penalty shootout win over France, it has over, get this, 65 million likes and counting. So go tap if you haven't already. And finally, tonight's Inspiring America in 2017, Lily DuBose donated some of her own toys to kids who lost everything in Hurricane Harvey. Now a teenager, Lily is keeping that tradition going and has given away thousands of toys since. And this holiday season, she's getting a little extra help from a major league star. Here's NBC's Lester Holt.
At Thornwood Elementary in Houston, Texas, holiday gifts are piled high, ready to be opened by some deserving students, all thanks to Lily DuBose.
I love kids and the joy that I see on their faces when they get a toy.
The 13-year-old started Lily's Toy Box back in 2017 after hearing about some children who lost everything during Hurricane Harvey. Lily wanted to help, so she gave away 10 toys. But she didn't stop there. Lily's Toy Box became a nonprofit, and so far she's given away 40,000 toys. And this holiday season, she's hit a home run with a little help from her friend Houston Astro Alex Bregman and his wife Reagan. Bregman, who has his own charity assisting underprivileged Houstonians, joined forces with Lily last year, and a tradition was born.
It's nice to be in the holiday spirit.
We have toys for you.
Little faces lighting up as they open everything from to
Jingle and Squiggle Caterpillar.
It's just awesome to see the smile on all their faces.
Together, the trio handed out 1,500 presents. Actually, make that 1,501. A lucky student got to FaceTime with her favorite player, Astros shortstop Jeremy Pena.
Say hi.
Hi.
A holiday to remember, and a girl hoping to inspire others with the gift of giving this Christmas.
A holiday to remember, indeed. That's what the holidays are all about. Lester, thank you so much. That does it for us. Thanks for ending your day right with NBC News Now tonight. I'm Zelenskyy Samoa. The news continues right now.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.